All right, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. No, man, hit the subscribe button. It's 2023. You've been coming here for a long time. You haven't hit the subscribe button yet. Hit the subscribe button. Okay, let's get right into the story. So, not too long ago in Jamaica, two missionaries or people who fly to the Caribbean to help the less fortunate under the banner of a missionary. Two of these individuals were found. We're going to get into the details, and the details, I might warn you from now, are pretty graphic. So if you're listening to this, here's a heads up. I'm going to go way into the details of how they were found and theorized how they were actually done off, right? Killed, murdered, whatever word you want to use. People want to know what happened to this case, because all we know is two missionaries got killed from overseas, from the US, and then we heard nothing else. So here are some updates, and then we'll get into the details of what one of the spouses said and what the police report said about how the missionaries were found, how they were attacked, how it all went down, and the fact that one of the suspects has already come out and pled guilty. So following up, shout out to the Jamaica Gleaner. The home circuit will hear at 2 p.m. today whether one of the alleged killers in the 2016 murder of two American missionaries in St. Mary will plead guilty. One of them had already indicated that he was going to change his plea to guilty. Dwight Henry, through his lawyer, D.N. Jobson, had indicated yesterday, according to the Gleaner, that he wished to plead guilty instead of fighting this thing any further, and that she would get further details from him later on. Consequently, the matter was rescheduled for another morning. However, when the case was called up, Director of Public Prosecution Paula Llewellyn informed Justice Leighton Pusey that after having certain discussions, it would be mutually beneficial if the matter was adjourned for later. She also indicated that the indictment on which Henry and his co-accused Andre Thomas are jointly charged with 2 counts each of murder has been severed. I guess that means they will be tried individually in 2 separate trials. Hence, Thomas' case was set for another time, for Thursday, and he was remanded. The men are charged for the murder of Randy Hentzel, who is 48 years old, and his partner Harold Nichols, another missionary who is 53 years old. They were both found in Wentworth District in St. Mary on April 30th and then on May 1st. This is from 2016. We covered this in 2016. So when I tell my audience members, hit that subscribe button, click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified every time we update one of these stories, because we do update these stories. We follow them all the way through, even sometimes it takes years. That's just how the judicial system works, right? So we follow the stories, and this right here is a follow-up. They were both found dead in that same district, April 30th and then May 1st. And the two were reportedly to have last been seen alive when they left Tower Isle, St. Mary on motorcycles at 8 a.m. Attorney at law Althea Freeman and Leroy Equino represented Thomas, while Kerry-Ann Duaney appeared for Henry. Now, let's get into the details of what happened. Before we go there, though, one person says, I'm hoping that the family gets some justice. All right, let's talk about that part. So we know that this happened in 2016. A lot of people were saying, good God, man, why is it taking so long? Well, after almost a month on the run, the police recaptured escapee Dwight Henry, one of the two suspects in the murder of the two U.S. missionaries in St. Mary. This was printed in the Jamaica Gleaner in 2017. So after they were arrested, one of them had actually escaped and went on the run. And he was on the run, running around in Jamaica for almost a whole month before he was recaptured. Not to say anything bad about Jamaica and how the law enforcement does stuff, but a person like this, right, you would think they would be on posters all over the country, wanted posters, on social media sites like law enforcement, JCF Instagram page, and so on and so forth. And they were not. So here's this man who is wanted for double murder of 2 missionaries. And he's running around in the country having escaped from lockup. Anyways, he was recaptured, and in a tweet that morning, the Jamaica Constabulary Force announced the recapture, but they offered no further details. Henry had escaped the police custody at the Port Maria Hospital on January 3rd, where he had been taken for medical attention. The 2 missionaries, 48-year-old Randy Hentzel, and 53-year-old Harold Nichols, they went missing on April 30th after leaving, like I told you before, Albion Mountain on motorbikes around 8 a.m. in the morning. Their bodies were later discovered in bushes near Galena in the parish. All right. Jamaica Young Police says, what happened to the people who have knowledge that he's a murderer and an escapee? These enablers should be arrested and charged for murder after the fact as well, because they have knowledge that he was arrested and charged for these murders, and they gave him aid, help, comfort, and shelter. They should be in jail with him as well. Is what kind of madness going on in the criminal paradise in the Caribbean Sea called Jamaica? It is the police force inept or lazy or irresponsible? What's happening? Really? Well, let's get into what really happened there to them. Here comes the gruesome details, and I'm telling y'all again, if you're not into hearing this stuff, this is where you can exit stage left. All right, January 29th of 2018, this was printed in the Gleaner as well, and I missed it. The widow of one of the 2 American missionaries that were killed in Jamaica nearly 2 years ago has detailed the barbaric death her husband met, but insist that despite the pain that she's feeling from what was done to her husband, she still maintains a positive view of the island of Jamaica. That must be very hard to do, because if I went to Jamaica and they killed my wife, or God forbid any close family member of mine, I would probably hate the hell out of the entire island of Jamaica. However, she's saying that she doesn't. She still maintains a positive view of the island. The killing of the 2 Americans, Harold Nichols, 53 years old, and Randy Hentzel, 48, made international headlines in May of 2016 when it happened, but Jamaican authorities had refused to divulge all the details about how they died. However, Terry Nichols revealed during an interview with the Gleaner that based on the account that was relayed to her by the Jamaican police, Hentzel was attacked first. Randy was tied up. Then he was put on his knees and he was executed, shot in the back of the head. I wonder why Jamaican authorities did not want to reveal the details. Because it was gruesome? Because it was 2 white people from America? Because they were missionaries, and missionary is associated with giving help to those who are less fortunate? So in hindsight, or in essence, these 2 people were people who came to Jamaica with good intentions to help the less fortunate. They didn't come as tourists to come stay in an all-inclusive and spend a couple $1,000s and enjoy the beach and some sweet reggae music playing in the background while sipping on a Red Stripe beer or a Sorrel beer or something like that. They came to do work on the ground, move around, go into communities, find out who needs what, and try to help them to get these resources to balance their life. So it seems like good people, right? But to be handcuffed, or tied up rather, put on your knees and shot in the back of your head, that's gruesome. That's how one of them died. There's also how the other one died. She said, according to what the police told her, after they did that to the first one, Randy, then the hoodlums turned to her husband. This is her husband of 25 years. So it's not like this woman got married yesterday and don't really know who she's married to. She was married to this man for 25 years. She said that Harold Nichols was shot in his back, right off his motorcycle. But he still fought, and he found the strength to try to make a desperate escape in an attempt to elude his attackers. So when they shot him off of his bike, somehow he got up and he ran. And he actually did get away from them for a little while. I don't know how, but he ran a long way away from where they killed Randy, the other one that he was with. And he ran. And he ran through the bushes. And he ran. But sadly, they chased him. And they chased him. And they chased him for a long way. And they chopped him with a machete in his head when they caught him. And that is how he died. God damn. That is brutal. That is gruesome. I remember when this happened first, man. We have to be honest, right? Be for real. The first thing a lot of us think about, because there were stories that were breaking about what was going on in Haiti and about these missionaries that flew over to Haiti around this time. If you remember, some Caucasian woman had gotten a whole bunch of little Haitian kids and pretending under the guise of, oh, these children are misplaced and we need to find them homes, and we have proper paperwork to transport them across country lines. It turns out that the poor little children might have been on their way to be recipients of organ donation or some kind of stuff like that. Human trafficking is what those children were caught in, right? So, and these were people who came as missionaries. Then there was another big scandal about some guy who ran a home for boys who were less fortunate and homeless and orphans, parentless in Haiti. And it turns out when the thing hit the fan, this guy had intercourse with majority of the little boys in and the big boys in that place. And the sad thing about it is, because of how it was done to the older boys when they were younger, they started perpetuating the same behavior towards all the new boys that were accepted off the streets of Haiti into this facility, right? So around this time, this same incident was happening in Jamaica. So of course, we're looking at it like, nah, Jamaica, they won't just kill them like that. I mean, you just run up and just shoot somebody off their motorcycle. That sounds weird. And then you tie him up, kneel him down and shoot him in the back of his head. And then his partner runs and you run him down for far of a distance and catch him and chop him in the head with a machete to kill him. This was so, I don't know the word to use to describe it, but it was so barbaric and there was so much anger involved. It had a lot of people saying, I wonder if these two guys, while they were being missionaries, were also molesting some of these children, and it was found out. Now you got to understand something. In Jamaica, reprisal killings are plenty. Contract killings are plenty. And they're plenty because the law works funny in Jamaica. If, for instance, these two missionaries were brought upon charges of child molestation, it probably would not take much for them other than to use some of their US dollars and get a high-powered attorney like Peter Champagny. And next thing you know, they're offered bail and they fly out of the island, and that would be the end of that. And see, Jamaican citizens know this. So if someone is vengeful and feeling like, nah, you're not going to come rape off a little picnic them round here and get to with it. Yo, the man rape off my little cousin too, and him tell me, that boy there for dead. If it came to that, and that's what it was, then you best believe that the punishment would have fit the crime, because that's how they would have dealt with it. I cannot think of any other way. Or was this extortion? People are like, yo, no, far enough. So I know so I don't have money. You see, if you operate around here, so you have to let off a little thing every now and then, right? And they're like, we're not paying you no extortion. We're here doing missionary work. You guys are crazy. Oh, we're crazy? All right, I'm going to show you crazy. Pay the money by Friday or else. Friday came, money wasn't paid, people dead, right? Those are the only two things that I could think of. Right now, they still don't have a motive as to why, even though one of the guys has changed his plea and has said now that he prefers to plead guilty and get this over with. The bodies were found nearly 24 hours apart in Albion Mountain, St. Mary. I remember when they found the first one the day before, and everybody was like, rotted. That means the second one is probably somewhere butchered. And yep, lo and behold, that's exactly what it was. Nichols says that the police investigators have told her, the wife of one of them who she was married to for 20 plus years, she says the Jamaican police told her that it was a chance encounter and that robbery was not the motive. Do y'all understand why I'm saying now that it could probably be extortion, not paid, or it could be the other scenario? You know, the violence doesn't fit it, is what she's saying. They're saying it's not a robbery and they don't know the motive. It was just a chance encounter. And she's like, nah, it's not. It can't be a chance encounter. Because randomly somebody run upon you to rob you wouldn't do you all of that, right? The amount of violence that was inflicted upon them, it does not sense to me if it's just a robbery, is what she said. Because nothing was stolen from them. Nobody tried to use their credit cards. Nothing that would come from a robbery. Nothing. It was more like an execution. And I told you before, contract killings are big as hell in Jamaica as well. So we don't know what they did to have received all this. But it was bad. It was bad. Terry Nichols returned to her hometown of Randolph, New York, 1 year after the killing of her husband, Harold Nichols, and Randy Hentzel in St. Mary, Jamaica. She admitted that she was still upset and that she was forced to leave the place that she and her husband had actually called home for 14 years. So it was over 14 years that they had been in Jamaica doing missionary work. 14 years. And nowhere on that 14 years did it ever come up that they had molested any children or they were involved in any wrongdoings. They were actually known throughout as people that were very helpful and people that some people relied on. She revealed too that it was painful to leave the ministry that she and her husband had used to change so many lives in St. Mary. I love Jamaicans. We didn't have any problems with anyone on that island up until this point. I am just mad that it was all taken away, she said. You got to understand, man, this woman was waking up in paradise for 14 years. I don't know if you ever woke up in Jamaica and hear the cock crowing at 6 in the morning. You go get you some organic coffee or some mint bush tea or something, and you get you some ackee and saltfish and roast over, fried over breadfruit in the morning there, and then you step out into a beautiful sunshine and a nice warm air. You go to the beach in the morning in Jamaica and the water is warm. It's even in the state of Florida where I live. You go to the beach here in the morning time, in the summertime, that water is not warm. The water still cold. Jamaica water is warm night and day. You could literally chuck off in night and day. So you got to understand, these people, they see Jamaica as paradise. So she saw this as, this is something we can do for the rest of our lives. Build a ministry while we are here and minister to them about God while we help them financially or any which other way. I was told that her husband and his partner were involved in many building projects across Jamaica. They had actually manufactured, put up, physically built homes for people who were living in squalors to live in better conditions. I never got a story that said, yo, SouFLo, let me tell you the truth, I molest them people. They didn't molest off people picnic. No one has said that to me yet. And usually when we do these stories, especially when so much time has passed, someone would have reached out already and said, SouFlo, I seen you cover a story about the two missionaries. I'm from that area. Let me tell you what happened, because they've been in the island for 14 years and I've known them for 14 years and I'm only 24. That means this person would have known them since they were small, right? Or younger. Okay, no such talk about these people. So yes, to the people who say that could have been a possibility, then hey, we hear you, because these things happen all the time. But in this case, I'm willing to tell you that I have not heard. I never said it didn't happen. I said I have not heard not one bad thing about these missionaries. I love Jamaicans. We didn't have any problem with anyone up until this point. Suddenly, out the blue, boom, big murder, execution style. I am just mad that it was all taken away. She spoke of her late husband's love for Jamaica and how through their ministry, he helped to build 70 houses that were distributed to persons in the community. 70 houses, people, not 7 70 houses. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of Jamaicans that need help that nobody is helping. Not even the government of Jamaica is helping them. Their family members and extended family members and friends are not helping them. They'll give them a little dollar every now and then, but that's like money for dinner or something like that. It's not a place to live to take them out of the squalor's conditions that they're living in. And these people, 70 houses, that's if that's not biting the hand that feed you or killing the goose that lays the golden egg, I don't know what this is. If you heard him speak patois, you would think that he's actually Jamaican, is what his wife said, because they'd been living there for 14 years. Of course, they went back and forth between the U.S., which is their first or primary home, but they spent most of their time in Jamaica. He had been so submerged in the culture and he felt so secured there that he would jump on his bike. Not a car. He's not locked up in a car hiding. He's jumping on a motorbike and going around the island 8 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, zooming past people. No fear. We were going to be there another 10 years, she said. He probably would have built another 70 houses, she said. You couldn't do that much if you didn't love the people there, she said. Now, people, ask you to profess your love to me. I don't want to hear you tell me with your mouth that I love you. I don't want to hear you tell me with your mouth that I respect you. I want you to show me. And if 70 houses is not enough to tell you that these people cared about the people they were around. You know what I think this was? I think they really went to Jamaica and they were like, damn, Jamaica is beautiful and we could afford to live above average here, a beautiful life. But I want to live a life that has meaning and purpose. And also, I don't want these people to think we just came here to just eat up their resources and enjoy their island while they suffer right in front of us. How about we help people? And in the process, how about we tell them about God and God's greatness? Now, mind you, there's some people who are like, yo, take your white God and come out of this blood clot, because a black people around here who come to push this narrative about there's a white God in the sky that's going to come save us. So you might have some people who were very much against what they were preaching, because they didn't come there preaching black God for black people. They came there preaching about a Caucasian God that these black people would surrender to in order to get some help from them, because they're winning souls for the kingdom. That's just how the religion thing set up, see? But in the big scheme of things, people went from homeless to having a properly built house. People went from living in squalor's condition, zinc fence, zinc house with big holes in the zinc and water wet them up every time rain fall, and them have to set buckets inside of their little hot houses, and they went from that to a properly constructed house. I mean, how can you not say thank you? Rotted boy. So I'm here reading the comments again. Shout out to Gleena. And Holy Perv says, really thought reading this, the killers deserve far more than the maximum. Because I'm sure Holy Perv was under the same impression or came to the same conclusion that a lot of us did. That, yo, them people are probably there at Jamaica, touch up some people, picnic, you know, and then and not do nothing much down there. Walk around and preach and then feel up people, picnic and thing. When I heard about the amount of houses they had built, and you got to remember this, they didn't build these houses with no big money that came from any major backing entity in the US. Is these people raising this money through their ministry and however else they're raising it and using their own money to build these houses? So again, don't tell me you love me. Don't tell me you respect me. Show me. And if you can help me up out of poverty, then you must have some kind of affection for me. Nathan77 says, I am so sorry that this happened to both these beautiful and caring human beings. My sincere and heartfelt condolences to both women and their families. I too am curious as to why they were both so brutally done off. What happened to the case? Was anyone arrested, found guilty of murder, anything? Well, we're talking about that today in this case. The heartbreak over and over. My deepest sympathies to the family of these gentle, loving souls who only wanted to do good. Long Branch Saloon says, what happened to the person who was responsible for these cowardice act? They should rot in jail. And Hopeful says, wasn't someone arrested and charged for these murders? What has happened since? Well, I just told you they escaped from custody after they were arrested. They were on the run for almost a month in Jamaica. They were recaptured. And now here we are today in 2023, where one of them has decided that he wants to plead guilty instead of fighting this thing any further in court. And this is where we stand with it. Will they get another guilty plea from the other person as well? We don't know. But we know so far now that one of them wants to plead guilty to what happened. So usually with these plea also comes a confession. And let's hope we get to figure out what the confession will give us some kind of meat to the matter, as in why they did this to these people. Henry, 25, he was charged along with 25-year-old Andre Thomas for the murder of the two American missionaries in St. Mary in April of 2016. He had escaped police custody and he was back in police custody. He was rearrested Thursday at about 10 p.m. when he was removed from a car along a bridge near Anato Bay in St. Mary. During a Friday morning press conference at the Area 2 Police Headquarters in Tower Isle, St. Mary, Assistant Commissioner Fitz Bailey said that the police had a goal of taking in Henry unharmed because they want everything to come out. The senior cop described the operations as highly coordinated, but he gave very little details on the exercise, how they went about doing it. Henry was apprehended in the police 80th operation to nab him. 80th. That's how much they were after this man. And that's how much he was on the run. They tried 80 times. They organized 80 different operations. And they finally caught him. Bailey said that other persons in the car at the time were also detained for questioning. Henry escaped from the Port Maria Hospital where he had gone or had been taken to get some medical attention from lockup, and then he took that opportunity to escape. Prisoners do that all the time. And they're, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? I don't know. It looked like he's going into cardiac arrest. Let's rush him over to the medical center. And then on their way to the medical center, or when they get there, prisoner escape. That was one of those cases. And Henry, otherwise called Dougie, and Chino of Wentworth District in St. Mary, Thomas of Port Maria, they are both charged with the murders of the 48-year-old and the 53-year-old missionaries. Both missionaries were actually working in St. Mary when they were killed in Albion Mountain District in the parish on Saturday, April 30th. Still, no answer as to why it was done. So they have one person right now who says, I plead guilty, I prefer to plead guilty, and we're going to wait now to hear what caused it. All right? So stay tuned, and again, hit that subscribe button, click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified every time we update one of these stories and give you more information to the completion of the story. Welcome to SouFLoTV. For those of you who've never been here before, hit that subscribe button. Catch you on the next video. Walk good. I'm out. Peace.